it's pretty fair to say that this is going to be the last chapter of 2018, even though technically speaking, this chapter was not supposed to be released officially until 2019. I believe I highly regard their New Year celebration holidays in Japan, so this chapter was not supposed to come out at all this week. But I figured that was going to be the case because they showed a panel over at Jump Festa of 9/29, and even though I didn't get spoiled of what that panel was, there was a more possibility they could leak it early, and because of that, we now have to wait another 20 days until the next official chapter comes out. So it'll be leaked out early before then, obviously, but so that's kind of what's going on here, because it's weird that they would release a chapter on a Sunday of all days, but then it goes to show you it wasn't meant to be that way. But regardless, we've got a chapter anyway, and we've got something to talk about heading into the new year. And one of the biggest events going into the Wano was the reveal of Shogun Orochi, and I have to say, very underwhelming. I think that's the impression Oda wants to give you, and I'll give you a reason as to why that is by the end of this chapter. But the colour spread, and probably one of the best colour spreads I've seen in a while, because we've got the Straw Hats full center, you got Nami and Robin in the middle looking glamorous. Nami's got done in the, I guess, outfit of Wano. Robin's wearing something similar, only this time I like how it's shaded purple. So could Robin be getting a new outfit heading into the new year? It's possible, because it looks like, unless Orochi really does have a poneglyph, after this Robin doesn't really have anything to do. And it's kind of like similar situation with Frankie in this chapter, because he was running around like a headless chicken, and he has, because if you remember, his goal was to get the blueprints, but that it's been pawned off, so Frankie really doesn't have anything to do other than back up the samurai. So it could be the similar situation for Robin, because her goal was to become a geisha and to gain information on Orochi, but after this there isn't much information apart from the raw poneglyph, if in fact he does have one. But either way, Frankie wearing a tattoo down in the snake now, or a serpent tattoo, that could be a shout out to Orochi in this chapter, considering the fact we know he's a serpent and a possible zone type. We don't know for sure, but that's the impression you get. The headphones, the same similar headphones that we've seen with Gemma 66 when it comes to the Vince Smokes. And what's interesting about that is we don't really know the whereabouts of the Vince Smokes. So could that be foreshadowing something when it comes to Gemma 66? And it's confirmed in the SBS that we just recently got that Jinbei is officially a member of the Straw Hat Crew. So there's no point in Oda doing that unless Jinbei's going to make a reappearance, and if he does, it has to be in Wano. And by default, does that mean the Vince Smokes are coming along for the ride? That'd be kind of dope. So we'll see how that plays itself out. But obviously, we start off the chapter with Frankie, and apparently the blueprints that were had by Minatomo, I believe, were pawned off 10 years ago, and he failed to mention anything to Minatomo. Was getting pissed off because Frankie was actually staring into space watching the Kutsan parade. So that was kind of funny. Then we could this kind of reminded me of what happened with the wedding cake, where it's important to get the blueprints because it's the layout of Kairo's mansion and how to infiltrate. With that information, they can go into Onigashima. I'm assuming that's where the mansion is, and use ninja stealth mode to go in. But there has to be a turnaround against them, and in this case, it's Minatomo pawning off the blueprints. So now they have to find another way to orchestrate a infiltration. So that was kind of funny. You got the re-emergence of Kanjuro, and I'm guessing this pretty much ties most of the loose ends of one that we've been asking, where's Kanjuro? Then we go off to Zoro, and apparently he's still lost, and he's right in front of the Flower Capital, but we see the guy, Tanoyasu. He was the one that treated Zoro to sushi the last time we saw him, where he was eating wasabi. The last time we saw Zoro in chapter 919, I believe. Finally got Zoro, and before that we actually get a brief brief scene with Inuyasha, who I guess with Wanda and the rest of the Minks. So the Minks are there. So the only thing left is to see that Sulong transformation, and I guess for Neko and Mushi to arrive on Wano too. So that's the only loose ends on that part. A letter or a note for Shutomaru, aka Aja Doji, because they're trying to convince him to join up with them. So the way they're doing that is trying to tick him off by saying there's some bandits under Kaido that's attacking, so that's going to bring out Shuntomaru. And the reason for this, I think he's going to bump into Zoro personally. It's down. And speaking of which, speaking of parallels, we found out that Zoro was gambling around, and because he won, he pissed off a lot of people, a lot underlings of Kirishiro, and we know he's at the banquet as well, alongside the Shogun Orochi, because we saw him in this chapter. But the fact that he's going to get news to that as well, so it's not just Sanji screwing around with his boys, it's Zoro as well. And I did find it funny how Tonoyasu, or as Zoro put it, Kasu, I did appreciate how it seemed to be like a fanboy for Zoro, hyping him up, so, oh, I can't believe you did this, you're amazing. To some of Kirishiro's boys, that's not an easy feat, but you must be super strong. I find it funny how he said, he quoted Zoro, said, oh, I bet you must have a ton of fangirls wanting to touch you up. And if Sanji were there, you can bet your ass he'd be pissed off and super jealous about that. So I kind of miss those interactions with Zoro and Sanji, but it's just those quotes that I found kind of funny, because you know for a fact that Sanji would not want to hear that. But you gotta admit, this it's kind of true, and it's Oda talking to the Zoro fanboys, or the fangirls in this case. They're gonna tread along, and they go to a place called Heartland, and I guess in Curry, or the Leftovers town. We come to find out that's where where the blueprints were taken last. So I'm wondering who has them now, because the question was pointed out, like who would have these blueprints for what purpose, unless somebody was looking to infiltrate the place himself. Maybe Ashura Doji has them. I mean, you never know. I mean, other than that, it could be one of the other samurai that were previously introduced to that we haven't seen fully yet. So that's another. We see Orochi talking to members of Cypher Pole. I'm assuming that's CP0. We don't get to see Rob, Lucci, Stussy, or Kaku. We know they're a part of the crew as well. The last time we saw CP0, they were at the Reverie. And I'm pretty sure if Rob Lucci was there, he would straighten the Shogun Orochi out, no problem. Because the way he was talking down to the Cypher Pole, like, oh boy. One point in his, like, I guess his normal form, then he transforms into a serpent, his 5-headed serpent mode. So he's trying to intimidate the Cypher Pole units. Wano country does not fear the government, the Marines, because if you screw with us, we have Kaido backing us up. So if you want to go against the Yonko, by all means. So what I want is Dr. Vegapunk in person. Now, why does he want Vegapunk when we not have? Does this mean we're going to get finally introduced to him? We don't know. We know Smoker and Tashigi are trying to track him down. So I don't know. Does this spell out trouble? Like is that Kaido wanting Dr. Vegapunk, or is that Shogun Orochi? And why does he want Vegapunk so much? So we're gonna have to get introduced to him at some point, and I hope sooner rather than later, especially with the Reverie supposed to be happening in 2019. So that's gonna be interesting. We get the banquet. We see all the Kutsans, the geishas playing. We see Robin's there. And we see two other geishas playing there. And I think that's the teacher we saw spit out the propaganda. She's also there. We see two other geishas next beside Robin. So I'm wondering who they are, because we'll probably get, or is it just Oda showing us a random panel of two girls? So I just thought that was kind of random. Or we could find out who those two geishas are. And then we do find out that Komurasaki's actually arrived. And all hell's about to break loose, because he's after Komurasaki. Now the question is, does he know that's the Lady Hiyori? Because in my opinion, I think that is. It was kind of confirmed in the previous chapter through Momonosuke, conversation with Tama, and him revealing that Hiyori was still alive. She'd be 26. Like I said, I think Komurasaki does look like 26, even though she was wearing stilts. But either way, she's around the arm of Orochi. I'm pretty sure she's trying to infiltrate Orochi's castle because of some reason. Maybe it's to do with the Kazuki clan, that she's to try to take revenge. That would make sense. Why she become a Kutsan in the first place. Does this guy? We see his design, like I said, very underwhelming. But I think that's the intention of Oda. He wants you to make you think that he looks like a scroll. Oh God! So I think Oda's doing that deliberately to make us think that he's harmless. But like I said, it could spell trouble for Robin, because she's the only one there. She could fight him if she wanted to, but I'm not too sure. Like a scrub. He's trying to hide behind Kaido, saying, "Oh, I can threaten the world government at this rate if you don't give me what I want." Apparently he wants Vegapunk, so that's going to tie itself up in the new year. Hopefully she'll be able to get to the Rock Poneglyph, because that has to be tied up soon. But this chapter ended off in a big way, because we finally get introduced, we finally get to see Law and Sanji interact, and apparently he had the word that I guess Hawkins was on his way. Sanji's like, I can fight too. Law's like, no, because they know who we are, so we can't do this. So and I think Hawkins is the one was referring to Law when he said, oh, I'm looking for a specific person. Well, the only person he'd be looking for is Law, because that's the only person he knows about when it comes to Wano. Then again, he could be looking for Kid or Killer, because we haven't seen him yet. In fact, besides we've seen most of the Supernova now, because we've got to see Drake, and when we know he was at that Iceland on Wano. We've seen that before. We get introduced to page 1, the supposed to be the strongest headline of the 6 headliners. We know 2 of them already got taken down. 3 of them actually, because one of them that was in prison that got taken down by Luffy and Kid. Just this 3, obviously Hawkins we've already seen. So these 3 are supposed to be the strongest headliners. Makes sense. So our question is Sanji and Law going to end up fighting page 1 and X Drake? We don't get the bounties yet. And it's suspicious we haven't seen Drake's bounty yet, because I'm pretty sure that has to be, at this point, it's like you're a headliner, so you have to raise up someone. I mean, Capone did, and he's just a head of security when it comes to Big Mom. So I'm pretty sure that confirmed yet. And we do know we haven't. Then again, we haven't had the bounties of the other 2 calamities, Plague and King of the Wildfire. We haven't had their bounties yet, so I'm pretty sure they're above the equal or above Luffy. They have to be the 2 billion. At least one of them has to be. One's probably the strongest. Now, what's interesting about this is he has a kind of like dinosaur. He says it's a Spinosaurus, but he's like part dragon, because he's like the dragon fruits. I'm like, is he a Spinosaurus with a dragon devil fruit? Because it's an ancient type, so they're pretty rare. So I can't wait to see what this guy can do. Apparently, they've been hyped up by Law to start to be the strongest of the headliners. We know what Hawkins can do. Supernova we haven't seen yet are Killer and Apu. We know Apu's working on the Kaido. We don't know much about Killer if he's still alive. And maybe that's who Hawkins was referring to, Killer, with the 3 headliners. And it looks like there could be a confrontation with Sanji and Law. That could be an interesting team up, because we saw that in Dressrosa partially. But I can't wait to see what happens next. Obviously, it's another 20 days to wait till the next chapter is officially released, possibly leaked. So that's it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like this video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece. Thank you guys for the support over 2018 when it comes to these One Piece reviews. And Happy New Year. And here's to another hype year when it comes to 2019 and One Piece. Catch you guys later. Bye.